So to help us understand how imaging can be done with cameras, let's try to build one from the basic first principles. Help us do this, I'm starting off with a simple tree shown here. Basically, it's kind of attempting to show a 3D scene, and what we're interested in is capturing this 3D scene in a way that it actually captures the geometry and all of the light variations of this. Of course, nothing of the scene would be visible without a light source, right? If you walk into a dark room, you can't see anything. There has to be a light source. Either it could be external environments with sun or simple light bulbs and stuff like that in internal situations. Light source from this hits the tree, and basically then it reflects the light back, and it's the reflections from the scene that hit our eye. That's why we see the scene. And again, we want that reflections to hit the camera and store that image, and that's what we're interested in. So in essence, any light source illuminates the scene like this, and it's these reflections from this kind of what we see. And again, that's one of the reasons we see color, we see specularities and stuff like that, depending on the type of surface it might be. For example, if it's coming reflecting black, well, it means that in essence, it's absorbed everything. If it's reflecting white, it means it's reflecting everything. And, color come in because, again, the color properties of the surface that actually has those color materials reflect differently, and that's why we see colors. So this, in essence, basically suggests that scenes have to be illuminated. Now, let's try to capture this information. So to do this, I'm actually going to pop up a screen of some sort, and I'm now interested in is basically saying is if this is my screen, I want to capture this 3D structure onto the screen. We can actually refer to this screen as a sensor. Now, we will talk about different types of sensors, but let's assume this is a sensor that actually captures this light and saves it for us. But before we get to the saving part, let's see how light is actually created or gathered on this surface. Of course, as I said in the last slide, if the sun was illuminating this tree, each and every point of this tree would be reflecting back the light. And that light would be hitting our eyes, and that's how we see it and all that kind of stuff. Well, so in essence, each and every point is reflecting light, and it's hitting the sensor. And of course, no image is forming on this one because it's coming across in all possible ways. And of course, at present, we're not thinking of this as a sensor. Let's just claim it to be a screen, and all of the light is there. And of course, it's for this reason, you walk around in an environment, you actually don't see reflections of everything exactly on this environment. What we want to now figure out is how to get these beams or those rays of light focused. So to achieve this, let's put an obstruction in front of our screen. And here I basically show an obstruction to be basically a big, let's say an object of some sort, except that I do have an opening. So because of this obstruction, what will happen to all these sources of light? Only the ones that actually go through this obstruction, this hole, would make it to my screen. The rest of them would just reflect off and diffuse itself in this part of the environment. Nothing will get through. Only the ones that get through would be through this opening. So let's look at exactly what that means. If a ray of light goes from the bottom of the tree, it goes through here, goes through the hole, and hits the screen. Let's see what happens on the other end. Another ray of light goes from the top, goes through here, and hits the screen. Simple geometric kind of a way of looking at rays of light. Remember, rays of light are the ones we're trying to capture to create an image. So one thing interesting is bottom is there, top is there. So just by looking at this triangles, we can say that this tree should be upside down when it forms on this sensor. And again, it makes perfect sense. This point is actually coming in and registering here. This point is coming and registering here. And of course, all other points on this tree would be going through this small hole and creating an image there. So that in essence is the basis of a camera per se.